All right. Hello and welcome, parents and caregivers. We are very excited to bring you our next Reach Out and Connect workshop on social emotional learning with Muttigrees from North Shore Animal League. So my name is Kristen and I am the program director of Reach Out and Read. And we also have from the Reach Out and Read team, Evelyn.
Hi, I'm Evelyn. I'm the Regional Program Coordinator at Reach Out and Read of Greater New York.
We have our wonderful translator, my dad. Also known as Gabe. And then we have Jane from North Shore and Muttigrees.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. We're excited to be here.
An extra special guest, a school principal from Brooklyn who participates in the Muttigrees program, Terry.
Hi. Hi.
All right, so I am going to hand it over to Jane so she can talk all about social emotional learning.
Okay, so first of all, welcome everybody, and I'm sure you're wondering about the word Muttigrees. So maybe I'll start with just a little bit about that. So the word Muttigrees, of course, is a play on the word pedigree, and North Shore Animal League America created this word to elevate the status of the shelter pet, and that's in conjunction with bridging social emotional learning via humane education. So the program was developed by Yale because they wanted to address mental health. 1 in 5 children suffer from mental health issues in this country. And we at North Shore Animal League America thought, what better way to address that than via humane education? And we defined humane education as caring about oneself, caring about others, caring about your community, the world, the environment, and issues in regards to social injustice. So this is it's really a springboard that I think a lot of people don't recognize to delve into issues that is so important for us to be responsible people in our community. And one of the ways we want to be responsible is to develop empathy. Empathy is so critical to being able to feel for others, because then when you can feel for others, then you care, right? You have compassion for all living things. So this is how we move. That's the premise of this curriculum. And Terry, please jump in at any time. It's based on 5 themes, and I want to watch the clock too, so that I don't put us behind. Kristen, do you want to? You'll kind of let me know if I run over.
Yes, let's pause there and have my dad translate.
Okay.
Yes. Am I talking too fast?
Okay.
No. I think.
Oh, so you're going to be translating as we go. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Gabe. Go ahead.
No, that's good, because the outline that Kristen emailed me is perfect. I took my time and I read it, so. I'm familiar with what you just said, so I'm just going to go ahead and translate all the way down to the almost the please visit the Muttigrees organization. I think that's when you kind of sort of stop.
And of course, I didn't follow the script, so you can go ahead.
No, but I was catching pieces and bits. So I think that if I Buenas noches, todo el mundo. Aquí le estamos hablando Kristen por la tercera vez, que es la directora del programa, con Evelyn, que es la coordinadora del programa, y tiene 2 invitados muy especiales, o 3 invitados muy especiales. Jane Vitale, el hijo de ella, y Terry, que todos pertenecen a la North Shore Animal League de América. Lo que ellos traen para compartir esta noche es un aprendimiento que es experimental, pero que es único, porque es el que hace un puente entre la parte emocional y la parte social de la parte humana en la sección de educación. Ahora, el nombre del programa es Muttigrees o Muttigrees. Y el programa está esencialmente diseñado para darle una competencia emocional social. por medio de enseñándole, enforzando unas habilidades críticas que son la fundación de una vida de suceso, de éxito a la corrida larga de nuestra vida, incluyendo simpatía. Y ella resaltó la palabra de simpatía porque es muy importante para que nosotros tengamos esa habilidad con otras personas y con los animales. Ahora, la parte de estas habilidades que son muy importantes es la parte que va a ser la relación con otras personas, con animales y con nuestro ambiente en general. Y al final de todo es con todo el mundo, ¿no? Entonces, pues es muy importante. Ahora, esto está diseñado para que se trabajen con los niños a través de un viaje en el sentido de que los animales sean rescatados. Y de esta forma, en el proceso de rescate de los animales, se les va a enseñar a los niños mucho. El uso del programa con también una educación especial que hace un nombramiento de lo que son varias propiedades en el sentido de cosas que pueden afectar a la persona humana. Entonces, pues ella va a referirse a esto en un minuto más tarde. El programa fue desarrollado en colaboración con la Universidad de Yale y claro, con el North Shore Animal League de América. El contenido es para niños que están de pre-kinder hasta el grado número 12. Y el plan o el contenido de este provee muchas lecciones, vocabularios, actividades que son muy manuales, lecturas, recursos, especialmente de lectura, que van a hacer un enlace o el puente de que hablamos antes entre las familias principalmente. Hay varios programas experimentales con una extensión de plan de estudios que incluyen un programa que se llama National Student Ambassador Program, que enseña a los niños que no importa qué tan viejo es el niño o qué tan joven es el niño, sino que tú tengas la habilidad y el poder de hacer algo positivo y que cambien las cosas. I think that's it, Jane.
Oh, thank you for that. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Lovely. So the next piece, and Terry, I'd love for you to speak to this. We want to explain. So, we talk about emotional intelligence, but what is emotional intelligence? And what's the importance of learning emotional intelligence?
Children really need to learn what they're thinking and how they should go about things in life. They need to be aware of themselves. They need to understand about actions and reactions. And, there's so many things that go into kids. And I'm in middle school. So middle school is where all of everything is going on all at the same time. And they have no idea. They could cry, they don't know why. They're happy, they don't know why. They're mad at you, they don't know why. And this is where we start to really go into their social intelligence, their emotional intelligence. And the curriculum itself addresses these things in such a manner that it breaks it down, and the activities that they're doing, and they build as they go. And there's so many light bulb moments that go on as they go through these activities. We talk about things that right now they really need to practice their own empathy, being home in the house, and they have to deal with everybody's emotions all at the same time, so that they have to go into their own emotional intelligence to deal with what's going on. And if you don't address these things and they haven't been addressed, those kids are having a much more difficult time at home because they don't know how to deal with what's going on inside their own head or in with their brothers, their sisters, their parents, or anybody, even in the store.
Right.
So it's very important to work on the awareness of themselves, awareness of their own feelings, awareness. I'm sorry, am I talking too fast now too? I just realized you have to translate.
We have to translate again.
Okay.
Um,
Should I stop there?
Yeah, I can go ahead and translate that.
Okay.
Basically, what Terry's, lo que Terry está diciendo es que, o a lo que ellos se refiere es la inteligencia emocional del niño. Esa inteligencia emocional del niño es la habilidad de hacer una monitoría de nuestros sentimientos y los sentimientos de otras personas. Y discriminar a través de todos estos sentimientos y usarlos en una forma en que te pueden guiar a ti a tomar pensamientos o decisiones y acciones principalmente. Esa es la definición de la inteligencia emocional del niño. Okay, Terry, I'm done.
Okay. So when they're learning, when children have a basis in understanding their own emotional intelligence or understanding the steps that they need to take to get by, they really can deal with these big things a lot better. The curriculum itself, it does deal with awareness. It does deal with their feelings. It deals with cooperation. It deals with the decision making, and all of these things are just the basis for them to become better prepared as adults to move into the world and to understand interactions between people. And
I'm going to just interject just for a second, Terry, because I know that the audience could have some young people. I just want to say how you address the middle school, which is such a critical age to target. But also this, and we're using the word curriculum, but I just want the parents out there, I am not a teacher. These skills can be taught at home, and we have a piece, the Muttigrees Handbook, which we're going to get to a little bit later to tell you about. But even as young as a toddler, you can begin to teach, and Terry, would you agree, emotional intelligence, right? You can begin to teach empathy. That's the beginning. And that's
where it mostly happens a lot, is when they're young. You'll see parents, they say you're sorry. You know, how would you feel if someone took your cookie? You know, but it gets less and less as they get older. And, you know, maybe that's why middle school, we have these, you know, kids that don't have the tools, or the skills that they need from, you know, when they're young, they forget.
And it really is just a way of talking to your child. It's very, especially these days when both parents are working, you come home, you're exhausted, you know, then they have homework that needs to be done. There's so much on our plate right now with children, right? Yes. And we can give you, and what the Muttigrees program does, it can give you simple tasks, routines to do with your child that you might not think of. It's so obvious, but like those moments of, you know, when they get up in the morning, if you drive your child to school, I used to say, oh boy, what better, captive audience, right? You have your child in the car, you tell them to take the earplugs out, and you talk, you begin to communicate. And vocabulary is very important because a child could maybe feel really angry, but maybe what that really is a sadness inside, right, Terry? It could be depression, as they say. Anger can be depression turned outward. Or, you know, you want to tune in and give them the words. If they're angry, they might just be frustrated. They may be facing a problem. There's things in the morning as they're getting ready for school. Dinner time, so important to sit down at the table. Again, captive audience, right? Going to bed at night. You know, if they had something in the beginning, and also to referring to yourself, right? It's really good for your child to know, yes, I'm dealing with problems and I'm struggling. And this is how I think I'll deal with it. To share even your struggles with your child is teaching them to begin how to problem solve. And it also lets them know that you're human. Sometimes I think kids don't look at us that we're really human beings. You know, we're not this thing on a pedestal or the one that knows everything. It's to let them know that we deal with things and we have to solve the problems, and there are skills, and to teach those skills to cope, as you were saying, Terry, and
Mhm.
resiliency, right? That's what
Yes.
it's all about.
Resiliency,
We,
coping. Mhm.
yeah, we can't help this virus. Like, this is the perfect example. This virus is here. None of us have any control. The future is uncertain. That's scary. That's scary for everyone. We can't control that. But what we can control is how we respond to it. And
Exactly. Mhm.
and I think
Okay.
too, connecting it with humane education. Terry, talk to us a little bit. Now, not everybody has a dog, not everybody can have a dog, but
Right.
just through even storytelling. And I'd love for you to talk about the dogs you have at your school, but also about the power of the dogs and how it can go beyond. You're remote teaching. This is really, I know the parents are dealing with remote
Mhm.
teaching. Why don't you
Yes.
talk a little bit about that, Terry, and how you deal with that?
Do we want to translate first?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Uh,
I'm sorry, Gabe.
no, that's good. That's good because I think your lines are helpful because basically before you went into the importance of emotional intelligence, you defined what was it. So let me go and talk a little bit about the importance of emotional intelligence and the connecting socially, and then I'll give it back to you.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay, so lo que Jane explicó, lo que expliqué antes, fue la definición de la inteligencia emocional. Y ahora lo que Jane y Terry han estado haciendo es definir la importancia de esa inteligencia emocional. Y ellos dicen que para tener unos ciudadanos y estudiantes que puedan cultivar el éxito de sus carreras y sus vidas en el colegio tiene que educar a los niños en esta forma crítica que es de una habilidad de pensar, en donde ellos son responsables y que son y responsables de esas decisiones éticas que ellos toman. Entonces, la parte que ellos tienen que hacer es envolverse en una parte sana, en este sentido de las emociones y de los comportamientos emocionales. La parte emocional y social del aprendimiento, que también representa el desarrollo fundamental de la parte social y emocional de las competencias, de las habilidades de los niños. Estas habilidades en los niños reconocen y manejan emociones y también tienen experiencia con la simpatía a otras personas. La palabra que ellos utilizan es empatía, que es empatía en español, pero pues para nosotros es más entendido como tener simpatía, ¿no? En verlo, el desarrollo positivo de estas relaciones, la manera en que se hacen unas decisiones buenas y la parte del comportamiento ético y la responsabilidad para evitar que haya unas responsabilidades que son negativas. Tú no quieres que eso suceda. Ahora, los niños o con este proceso pueden hacer o convertirse mucho mejor y a través de este proceso también ellos aprenden mucho mejor. Okay, Jen, I'm good.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So, and I really want Terry to speak. One thing I did just want to say too is, again, let's go back to that connection to introduce Terry, what you're about to say about humane education. Why humane education? Why teach emotional intelligence through humane education? Well, we all know it starts with being kind to animals, and people who have abused animals tend to, they've also abused people in the later years of their life. So we begin with humane education, we begin with animals because children really have this natural affinity with animals. And the natural affinity is they share and they recognize that vulnerability. They are both vulnerable to kindness and also suffering. And it's a wonderful place to begin with the children to show how important it is to give voice to the voiceless. And there's our Brody right there, Terry. So why don't you take it from there?
It's funny how you said you talked about abuse. Brody is my Muttigree. And he came from North Shore Animal League America, and he was abused. He was abused by a child. And when we first got him, he was very wild. He was difficult to train. He wouldn't listen. He's 100 pounds if he's a pound. And he was adopted and brought back 3 times. So we tell the children his story about how he was essentially a 3-time loser. And it was because he was abused and he didn't understand his situation. He wasn't aggressive, but he just didn't act right. He didn't know what to do. So we tell the kids all the time about how it's important to be patient. We tell the kids that it's okay when you're in a situation that's not good and you need to move to another situation. So if you're in a home that's not working for you, then it's okay for you to go to another home, because it's going to be someplace that's better for you, what people are going to do for you. His behavior, Brody's behavior, was very unpredictable. He wasn't aggressive, but he was unpredictable. And the reasoning is because he didn't know what was going to happen next. He had no clue. And we do a lot of lessons based on that, based on his history and how he is now. As you could tell, he's very calm. He's very we talk about confidence, which is a big thing that we talk about, which is what we talk about with him a lot. And we talk a lot about things like anxiety. We have another dog now, he's over here, and he's got severe anxiety. And we show the dog in the class by himself without Brody, and then we bring Brody back in, and you see the anxiety lift from the other dog. And the kids see the difference. They look at him the first time and they say, oh, his tail's between his legs, his ears are back, he's not paying attention, he's just looking to get out. And then you bring Brody in, and all of a sudden the tail goes up and he's interested and he wants to see the other kids and he acts like a dog. So all of these lessons, they bring it into themselves. We talked about how to make friends. How did Brody and Bolt become friends? We had the other dog before this, Shelby. She didn't like Brody at all, hated him, absolutely hated him. And the kids saw the aggression that went on, and they saw what we did to make them be friends. And the kids made suggestions. Let's take them outside, let them play. Let's put them in an area that's not like school. So they got to see how they made friends, and then they talk about friends. I think one of the most important conversations we had this year was we talked about fostering, because kids didn't understand what it meant to foster a pet. And another child started talking about how they were in foster care themselves. And it was a conversation that kids, they stopped and they looked and they listened and they put a face now to foster care. Here was this child telling everybody how they were in foster care and what that meant. And now everybody around them understood what it meant. And it wasn't a stigma and it wasn't something bad, and they understood it. But the child felt okay talking about it because Brody was fostered in my house before he became my dog. So connections like that are made so many times. It's unbelievable when you bring in the dogs and start using them as learning tools.
And, you know, Terry, to what you just said, I've experienced as well, where you start talking about the orphaned pet, fostering more children. I was astounded in New York City, especially where children raise their hand. I'm in a foster home waiting to be reunited with my family. I'm an orphan waiting for adoption. Mm-hmm. And like you said, all of a sudden, what might be to those children, they might carry shame. You know, a lot of those children, they don't feel they belong, or they don't have a family. But because of the dog, they felt safe to speak about it. And the other children were supportive, mm-hmm. and empathetic to that. And mm-hmm. also what was so wonderful, the dog gave them hope. You know, it's amazing how they felt comfortable to talk about it, but they also, I don't even know how to put, like, they knew they can't control, they're in this situation, but hearing this chance of the rescue pet and deserving a second chance, and that their loving homes are to be found, it actually made them feel better, and it brought a little mm-hmm. bit of hope to their life.
Yes.
Yeah. Pause there and have my dad translate, but before that, it says we only have 5 minutes left because we have a free account, but we set up another meeting, so we'll email out the link and we can just continue there, so we don't have to worry about rushing.
Okay, so lo que Terry habló ahora fue mucho acerca de su perro que se llama Brody, pero especialmente lo que ella dice es la habilidad, la habilidad en que estos animales desarrollan una habilidad para aprender. Y en el sentido de aprender, el programa Muttigrees tiene una forma natural de la habilidad de enseñar la compasión y la empatía o la simpatía. Y esto hace que los niños se conviertan y que se den ellos mismos mucha importancia. Y que le den importancia también a otras personas, a nuestro ambiente y especialmente a los animales. Ahora, los niños tienen una habilidad especial y una afinidad muy especial por los animales. Así que incrementar el contacto de los animales va a fomentar un comportamiento que va a enriquecerlos a ellos mucho mejor, va a enriquecer sus comportamientos y van a enriquecer también las habilidades sociales que ellos tienen. Los estudios muestran que niños que tienen animales y que participan en programas que tienen animales, ellos tienen una simpatía o una empatía de un nivel mucho más alto y especialmente la parte social, del comportamiento social de ellos, comparado con niños que no tienen estas habilidades.
When I was working with the unaccompanied minors, I do not speak Spanish. And the children spoke Spanish and they did not speak English. So we created these emotion boards, like is part of this book, with faces of dogs. We had bones in English that matched up to the pictures, but also in Spanish that matched up to the pictures. So I would put the English, Velcro the English on to the face, and then they would Velcro in Spanish the same thing. It was the most incredible, simple activity because number one, now they're starting to learn a little bit of English, right? I'm learning a little bit. They're teaching me, little kids teaching me Spanish, words in Spanish. But at the same time, it was giving them this opportunity to identify, which these children really needed because they were going in to speak to lawyers to state a case to be able to stay in this country. So now they're starting to read body language. What does it mean if someone is, the dog has his tail between his legs? How do you think he's feeling? Well, how do you know? Well, because of the body language, right? So these are different things that a parent can even do at home. And Terry, jump in here. With each other. You'd ask one another, how do you look when you feel sad? How do you look when you feel happy? How does your friend look? What could you do? If your friend looked like this, and you show a sad picture, what would you do to make them feel better? But then you can even take it a step further because sometimes when we're sad, we actually smile, right? You play the cover. Now that gets a little more complicated, right? So we have to teach children how important it is to really look someone in the eye and say, how are you? How are you feeling today? What's going on? Or even just to open a door. One little simple act of kindness can really change a child's day around. Right, Terry?
No, it really does. And it makes them a lot more mindful of their own actions, as well as to pay attention to the actions of others. We've done lots of lessons with the dogs on actions and reactions. And I said this, I've told this story 1,000 times. We put the dog in the room, tell the kids to be quiet, so the dog is quiet. They understand that everything means that, okay, we're quiet, the dog is quiet, they relate it. The next time the dog comes in, they tell the kids, get up, do jumping jacks, be active. The dog comes in, runs around. The third time the dog comes in, we tell the kids to sit down, but we have someone in the hallway hyping up the dog, so that when the dog comes into the room, all excited, running around, and the kids are like, well, we're doing the same thing we always did. We're sitting, we're quiet, why is running around? And the lesson is, you don't know what goes on in someone else's life when you don't see it. So just because the dog's not acting the way they always did before, you're quiet. something happened that you didn't know about. So,
Right.
you know, actions and reactions are part of that, you know, as well. And just because they thought that they were doing one thing, that doesn't mean that the action of the dog is going to be the same. And they had to think about it. And they were like, oh, I get it now. And then they related to, that's why my friend was mad at me, because her mother yelled at her before she came, you know, before she came out, but I didn't know that.
Right.
That's a lot of it too, you
Yeah.
know, where you could have somebody who's angry laughing, or you can have someone who's always very happy and nice, and now all of a sudden they're biting your head off, but you didn't do anything.
Yep. And role playing is good too, and fun too. You can, things that you can set up with your child in is, you know, how would you react in this situation? You know, your friend comes to you and says something unkind about your other friend, and you know, so how do you protect? You can set up these sort of scenarios where they have to problem solve and play those scenarios out. Another thing I love to do with the kids too, it's fun, is collages. Just to sit at the table with, you know, magazines and newspapers and things where they can cut out sayings. That's a really wonderful way to express in feelings, and to maybe observe, you know, different photos and that sort of thing.
Looking at faces.
Yeah, faces.
Let me share, I'm going to share my screen to show the emotion cards that Jane mentioned. So, and I'm going to summarize a little bit about what you said, and then pass it over to my dad to translate. So these cards are a great way to help your child identify their different emotions, as well as, you know, learn about other emotions and talk about emotions. Dogs have emotions just like people have emotions.
And a lot of children don't realize that. You know, that's even making them aware. And I mean, dogs are we're finding out more and more about the intelligence of dogs, where they're actually empathetic, and the oxytocin, that hormone that's released when a mother gives birth, mother loves her child, people fall in love. That's the hormone that's released when you connect with the dog, but the dog also feels that too. They find that the oxytocin levels in the dog are like that. And they're very smart, and they even know a second language, as I say, because our relationship goes back over 30,000 years, the human with the dog. And through evolution, dogs have really learned, they're the only animal that will actually look us straight in the eye. They won't look each other in the eye because that would be a challenge, but they will look you in the eye and actually follow commands, follow your mouth, and be able to understand and learn. So in a sense, they've learned a second language to communicate with us. But not everybody has a dog. Not everyone can have a dog. So it's just as effective through what they call the mirror neurons, that children can actually learn empathy through stories, through photos, and through what you're doing. Your child is looking to you as a leader, and that is how they learn. So it's very important to set the example, and as we talked about, to let them know how you're feeling, and to communicate that with them.
All right, Dad.
Ok. Lo que Kristen puso aquí en la computadora es una carta que es parte del programa de Muttigrees, y una parte que ellos hablaron un poquito más temprano es que nosotros como adultos sabemos qué tan difícil son los sentimientos, y los sentimientos para un niño pueden ser muy angustiosos, pueden ser abrumadores, porque pues son de una edad muy, muy pequeña. Entonces, lo que Kristen acaba de hacer acá es poner una tabla con las diferentes formas en que un perro se siente, ¿no? Y más importante, entender que así como los niños o los humanos tenemos sentimientos, los animales también. La primera es que está cómodo, la segunda es que está el de la mitad, en la línea de arriba, que está ocupado, el chihuahua ese que tiene como que es muy proud, ¿no? Y en la mitad está el que está solo, el que está calmado, el que está asustado. You can put it up a little bit, Kristen, please. Y la última línea, el que está disgustado, el que está feliz y el que está así como con pena, ¿no? Okay.
So, excuse me. Another thing I would say too, and Terry, you made me think of this, those moments that you think really are going wrong, or, you know, it's not the best situation, maybe with feeling children lashing out or whatever, and you're thinking, oh, this is awful, this is awful. But those are the teaching moments, right? Those are the moments to really get in there and to talk to your child about, it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to lash out. It's not okay to use bad language or to abuse someone else because you feel bad.
Mhm.
So it's always just, it's communication, right? That's what's just going to make this world a better place, is to educate and to communicate. And it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, to express those deep feelings. That's how you establish trust,
Mhm.
loyalty, and respect, right? It's through transparency. It's okay to be vulnerable, because we're actually being vulnerable is going to make you stronger. And it's a hard lesson to teach a child, but it can be taught through reinforcement, just every day, recognizing those moments, those teaching moments, right, Terry, in those
Yeah.
little things.
Yes, everything really is a teaching moment. When you're thinking about your child and their emotional intelligence, every single thing is a teaching moment.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let anything go.
Mm-hmm.
And communication is probably the most important thing, to make sure that they understand it's okay for them to say it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset, but I'm upset because.
Right. And it's okay for them to feel, we don't want children to feel ashamed. And we do things when we're young sometimes. Like, I'm thinking about my little niece. She's only 4 years old. And I was staying, because my niece just had twins. And, oh, I did something. She got mad at me and she pushed me. And I said, you just pushed me? You pushed Auntie? She was so embarrassed. Well, she was embarrassed, but she got mad, you know, and she was
Right.
mad, and you could see she was embarrassed that her emotions just got out of control where she pushed me, you know.
Mhm.
But I told her, you know, that's okay. It's okay. I'm not mad. You can't push people, but, you know, so that was like a moment where she felt shame. She's little.
Yeah.
You don't want kids, you don't want children to feel that. So you
No.
talk it through. You talk it
Mhm.
through with them, you know, how to rectify it. And
Right.
say sorry. Can you say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, you know? And then she did. She felt better.
Yeah. No, it definitely is. And communication is the key. And they have to know they can talk to you. And I think part of what's great about these is it gives them the skills to say, okay, I can talk about this. I've talked about this before, but now it's really happening. So
Right.
it's okay now. It opens up that door.
And it's okay to be wrong, right? When we go into classrooms, we don't say, you know, failure is not an option. No, failure is an option. Being wrong is an option.
Right.
That's how we learn. That's how we learn. It's okay to make a mistake and to be accountable for that, to
Right.
say that. And when you can say that, they're stronger.
Mhm.
People are going to respond to them in a way of, like I said, of trust, right? Of openness.
Right. And then they understand that it's okay for them to be wrong, and that means it's okay for you to be wrong.
Mhm.
And I have to understand that and think about that for a second, and then understand what it is you're thinking about.
That's right. Right.
They all go hand in hand.
That's right. For the parents,
Thoughts, behaviors, emotions, it all goes together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when a parent can say to their child, I'm sorry, you know what? I was wrong. You were right.
Yeah.
So important.
Mhm.
So important.
No, it is. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. Dad?
Dad, where are you?
I'm sleeping here. No, I'm listening. Very, very, very interesting. Very nice. Very nice. I mean, I wish you guys could go through all the schools in the United States and preach this. This is awesome, because really how things start when you're, you know, me as a parent, you know, try to do your best, but, you know, all these tools are spectacular. So anyway, bueno, lo que Jane y Terry acaban de hablar es principalmente siguen haciendo un énfasis muy, muy duro, ¿no? En la parte de los sentimientos. Ellos dicen que los sentimientos son los sentimientos de los niños o cuando se presentan las oportunidades y usted ve los sentimientos que están poniéndose a través del niño, estos son unas oportunidades de enseñarles a ellos. Esta es una oportunidad de tener comunicación con ellos. Y así usted aproveche la oportunidad de interpretar estas situaciones que pueden ser de una manera u otra un poquito difíciles, pero si tú las interpretas bien, son momentos en que tú les puedes enseñar a los niños. Ahora, una de las cosas que ellos hacen muy enfática es que ser vulnerable es ok. Ser vulnerable es una de las cosas que son buenas porque si tú eres vulnerable, lo que tú estás haciendo es volverte un poquito más fuerte, volverte un poquito más poderoso porque pues tienes una comunicación y un contacto con la persona que tú estás siendo vulnerable, que va a ser bueno, especialmente un momento en que estás enseñándole a ellos. Y no hay ninguna razón de que sientas pena. All right. Go ahead, Kate. Okay, Kristen is my wife.
Yeah, you can call me by mom's name.
Look at the big nose. I love it. Look at Brody.
No, that's both.
Over here, the
I
dog.
got the other one.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, that's
There he is.
So is Brody and Bolt?
Brody and Bolt, yes.
Oh.
And I just threw Molly out because she was snoring.
Oh,
I just made her go because she just kept snoring. Like, okay.
Terry has 5 dogs. I'll tell you this really quick. Terry has 5 dogs in her
Only
school.
3 live with me.
Yeah, 3 of them are with her. But it's with Terry that we developed a new program that was really groundbreaking that we're proud of, which was Dogs in Schools all day, every day. And we worked with the Chancellor of New York City to develop this program. And Terry was the one that began it all when I came in with the dog to do a presentation to her class.
Yep.
The dog never left. The dog was adopted by the school, started going to the school, and we were like, we could make this a program. Every school needs this.
No,
And, so it was because of Terry that was born.
but it was fun. That's really what it was. It
Yeah.
entertained me.
And incredible results, and they're still going. Yeah.
It's still, Shelby retired, but we're still, and Molly retired.
Yeah.
So we have replacements. We got Bolt, we got Brody, we got Lainey.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Yeah,
a
we're
wonderful
good.
school, beautiful school if you ever want to visit.
And they miss the dogs when I go on. The first
When
time
did
I went online with the dogs to do the Muttigrees program online, one of the kids, her parents had to shut the computer down because she got so excited she couldn't even contain herself. It was done. She was like, she'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. So excited. It was unbelievable.
Kristen, is there anything else Terry and I can add to the conversation that you'd like to hear? Or
Really quickly, Dad, do you mind just translating about Terry and her school and how they have fun?
okay.
Yeah.
Terry tiene 5 perros y los 5 perros, 3 de ellos viven en el colegio porque al principio yo no expliqué bien, pero Terry es la directora en un colegio de la mitad, el middle school. Y ella, de los 5 perros, tiene 2 en la casa de ella, que se llaman Brody y Bolt, y los otros 3 los tiene en el colegio de ella.
What do you want? You want this? You want this?
No, I think that's it. I love that you shared some things families can do at home. I think that's great, especially through distance learning or even doing this. It's really for all ages, including adults.
Yep.
I feel like I know some adults that could benefit from the Muttigrees curriculum. And yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing this with as many families as possible. And just want to say, thank you so much. Dad, really quickly, if you don't mind translating the next 2 sentences that I'm about to say. Just I think they were missed in a couple of the others.
Okay.
One is that two things I want to highlight that Terry and Jane both pulled out that is so important, especially now with COVID-19. Communication is the most important thing that you can be doing right now between anyone that's living in your household. It's so important. And communication is a great way to learn about your own emotions and how your child or children are feeling.
Dos cosas que tienen, que Kristen tiene que le gustaría hacer muy enfática, es que con la COVID-19 que tenemos hoy en día, la parte de comunicación con las personas en su casa es una parte muy importante y que también encuentres una forma en que tú ayudes a que todos en la casa sean muy buenos y sean muy bonitos unos con otros.
And then the second thing is that it's okay to show that you're wrong as an adult, because that shows your children that they can be wrong too, and it's okay. We're all learning and we're all doing our best with what we have.
La segunda cosa que ella quiere hacer muy enfática es que nosotros como adultos y viviendo las 24 horas al día, los 7 días a la semana juntos, no somos perfectos. Vamos a tener también, nos vamos a equivocar. Así que nosotros tenemos que ser muy buenos con nosotros mismos también y entender estas equivocaciones y volverlas, por el otro lado, pronto un momento de enseñarle a los niños.
Thank you, Dad. All right.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Terry, for last minute joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Always. And
Yes.
Kristen, thank you so much for having us.
Thank
Very
you.
nice meeting you.
It was
I'm
so
going
nice.
to have I'm going to have Evelyn share her screen so we can show different links to where you can find everything.
Absolutely. And that's what I wanted to say, to please reach out to me forever. And I'm here to help and to give information.
So here on your screen right now, you can see all the different resources that Reach Out and Read has developed. And then here, these two links, you can visit the Muttigrees page for resources. And also, if you have any questions about the Muttigrees curriculum or anything that we talked about tonight, you can email Jane, and here is her email right here, info@muttigrees.org.
Kristen, you got the cats, you got the dogs. I love it.
I have 4. Dad, do you mind translating?
Oh, you want to put it back,
Yes.
Evelyn?
Yes, sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Evelyn, que es la coordinadora del programa, tiene esta página aquí donde puede, el primero que dice websites, donde puedes encontrar todos los, muchos de los recursos que hablamos esta noche. Y además de todos esos recursos que hablamos esta noche, ella tiene los recursos de otros recursos como el de la página de los recursos, como los 30 días de educación, que es como está en un calendario para que tú lo hagas en los 30 días. La parte, la página de Facebook también, y la página de los Muttigrees, que es lo que hablamos esta noche. Y si ustedes se quieren comunicar con Jane, le pueden escribir a la dirección de info@muttigrees.organization.